what I would like to do next is introduce the moderator of the President's panel coming up, Carolyn Spencer Brown, the editor-in-chief of Cruise Critic, originally with the Washington Post, but figured out this is the place to be. One of the 25 most influential women in travel, according to Forbes Life. And Carol will moderate the panel of the presidents. Thank you very much. Have a great conference.
It is really a pleasure to be here today to talk to you all about cruising, which is my favorite subject. I hope it's yours as well. I have a question. This is the 11th annual CLIA Cruise3Sixty, and I'd like to know by a show of hands, and I can pretty much see in the dark there, how many of you were here for the first one like I was? Wow, that's awesome. I mean, a lot of great vets here. I feel like a vet now. I feel like an older person. How many of you are here for the first time? Wow, that's also really great. So welcome to you as well, and I hope that you get a lot out of this session. One of the reasons that I think cruising, and I hope you agree, is the most exciting point that it's ever been before, is that we have an unprecedented turnover in leadership. 3 of our 4 panelists are women on our presidential's panel, and I think that deserves a major applause. And sorry about that to Andy Stewart from Norwegian, who's our token gentleman, but he can handle it. I think it's also exciting because these folks are going to be determining changes that affect not just the way you sell cruise moving forward, but the actual cruise product itself. And so I think that their impact and their leadership is going to be really exciting to watch. And I think we're all at the sort of the beginning of a brand new thing. Last thing I wanted to say is that this event is not just about the folks who are standing up here talking on a panel, or me who blah, blah, blahs through the middle of it, but it's about you as well. And we really encourage you to, if you have your smartphones handy, we have a hashtag, which is, if you can tweet your questions to @CruiseEditor, which is my Twitter handle, and or use hashtag C3SQA and ask questions so we can answer them. Put them on the spot. Give them a tough time. Tell them a nice thing. Anything you want to say. Put it on Twitter. This is why I'm carrying the iPad. I'm not surgically, attached or anything, I swear. Anyway, on to what we're really here for, and that is to introduce our panel. And the first person who we're going to introduce is somebody who a lot of you already know. Welcome to Christine Duffy, President of Carnival Cruise Line. Next, we have the pleasure to introduce Lisa Lutoff-Perlo, who is the new president of Celebrity Cruises. Welcome, Lisa. Hello. Hi. Third is our token gentleman, Andy Stewart, who, as you may recall, was recently named president of Norwegian Cruise Line. Give a welcome to Andy, please. Hey. And finally, last but by no means least, is Princess Cruises' Jan Swartz. Give a good welcome to Jan. Hello. Hi there. Good to see you too. All right. So, one of the things I think is really important in this panel is, since everybody's fairly new to their role, not necessarily new to the industry, but new to the role, we want to get to know a little bit about them. So any nosy questions you have, feel free to ask them again on Twitter. But we'll start with Christine, because Christine has a sort of an interesting background here at CLIA.
Well, I do, because I think I'm used to sitting in that chair and asking the questions. So this is a little bit different for me. But before we get started, I just wanted to take an opportunity on this CLIA 40-year anniversary to acknowledge the new members of the CLIA team with my departure from CLIA, who really picked up the ball and I think have done such a great job putting this conference together. I understand for the first time we're live streaming the event, so we have 500 agents who are watching this from home. The event was sold out, so I just wanted to give a shout out and ask all of you to put your hands together for the CLIA team and Michael J. Pearson that has put this conference together. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So this is a question I want to know from our panelists. What is the first job you've ever had? First job. And how did that teach you something that's helping you in your presidential role today? Jan, let's start with you.
Sure. My first job was for my father, working for my father. He is a small business owner and put me to work at a young age. And I think the lesson that I learned very vividly was that we had to make sure that there was more cash coming in than going out. And it's given me a great appreciation of entrepreneurs and small business owners, which I know many of you are, for the hard work and passion that it takes to make a business successful.
What was that first job? What was your task?
He's an architect and a builder, so he builds homes.
Great. Lisa, what about you?
Okay.
I was 6. Oh, I know. I know my parents would get arrested today, but back then it was okay. And they owned a coffee shop, and they would turn over a milk crate and stand me on it, and I would make change for the customers who came in and either handed me their paper checks or bought a coffee to go. And I learned a couple of things from at that point. One is, you know, I get teased a lot by my team about money and that I never forget a number. And if they tell me they're going to deliver it, they have to. And also, I learned that hard work is really important, and being responsible. You know, it started at 6 and it went all the way through my adolescence and through high school. You know, my parents were always good to us, but we had to work for what we got. And so it taught me a lot of valuable lessons in life, for sure.
I will share that my first impression of Lisa was covering the refurbishment of Celebrity Constellation in Hamburg. And I think I was up wandering around with jet lag at 3 a.m. and she was like checking out the buffet to make sure something was right, and it wasn't. And she's a hard worker, I get you that. Andy, what about you?
Well, good afternoon. Oh, God. Yeah. It's nice to be the token guy. I appreciate that.
And if we have to have a token guy, it should be you, Andy.
It makes me very happy. So,
What's the first job that
should
you
I be
ever
honest?
had?
My question is, should I be honest?
Yes, you should be, because it's a
Okay.
good story.
So this may be unpopular. I was 14, and I had 2 jobs at the same time. And one was, it's sort of an odd name for a job. It was a pheasant beater.
Oh.
You don't actually hit the pheasant. They had kids who would go out and kind of hit the ground and move the pheasants towards the hunters. So that was my first job.
Just as bad.
Ooh, look.
I told you it'd be unpopular. The other job I had was working on the potato machine. So there's a tractor that drives the thing that's digging up the potatoes, then they have a conveyor belt, and along the conveyor belt go potatoes and stones and all sorts of other things. And your job is to pull the stones out from among the potatoes and leave only potatoes. So those are my two jobs.
The pheasant beater job, how did that prepare you for being president of Norwegian Cruise Line?
Good question, Carolyn.
I never wanted to be a hunter, so that was I guess what that taught me. The potato job taught me that I wanted to drive the tractor because I didn't want to be on the back. But I think it did teach me that there's always somebody doing a really tough job, and you know, when all of us are in big organizations and we all have people doing really tough jobs and that make it all work. So I think that I think is probably what it taught me.
It's a great answer. You recovered from the pheasant thing. I think you recovered.
I asked you if you want to be honest. It was the truth. Can I tell you?
Christine, what about you?
So my first real job was the receptionist at Rosenbluth Travel on Walnut Street in Philadelphia. And how that has served me well in my current role, but all my roles, is that, you know, I believe you have to be nice to everyone. Yeah. And when I was the receptionist, everybody wasn't always very nice to me. So, you know, I really appreciate, you know, the idea that you have to be nice to everyone, and what goes around comes around.
Karma, big. So now we're going to get into sort of maybe a couple of more substantive questions. And the first question, I'd like to ask is Cuba. It's a hot topic. Again, guys, show of hands. Have customers come into the agency or called the agency and said, I want to go on a cruise to Cuba? Not seeing many. Am I missing? Am I blind? So, okay, I see some back there. I see some back there.
There's a few.
So do you see it in your cruise line's future? When's it going to happen? What's it going to look like? Who wants to take that one? Lisa?
So, okay, I'll go first because I've probably been in the business, well, no, Andy, you're probably right up there with me, but 30 years, all right, so 30 years. And I came down to South Florida in 1989, and ever since then we've been talking about Cuba opening up. So I don't know if any of us really know when Cuba is going to open. But I think I will only speak for our company. We are thinking about it, we are looking at it. We are trying to get prepared on if and when it happens. I think for Celebrity, it would happen differently from some other cruise lines, just because our cruises are longer. We are not in the short cruise market, so I would see Cuba as an added feature on a long Caribbean itinerary versus the place that we go and take our guests for short cruises.
I think from Carnival's perspective, we all believe that there's a lot of pent-up demand because Americans have not been able to travel to Cuba, although a lot of other countries have had tourism and people traveling to Cuba. So we think there is pent-up demand. As Lisa says, this has been an ongoing conversation, although I think we'd all agree it does seem much more serious and further along than it has ever been. So I think, as Lisa said, and I think for all the cruise lines, everybody is thinking about how we would make Cuba part of itineraries, given its location, given the interest and demand we think that will come from it. But at the end of the day, we don't get to decide. We get to be as prepared as we can. And I think one of the big questions is, what is the infrastructure going to be like when we actually do get there, and what kind of investments and work will have to be done to prepare it. But we think it's a positive opportunity for the cruise industry, certainly.
So one of the questions that we hear is we talk a lot about Cuba being so exciting and exotic because it's been an off-limits place to go, but we don't really talk about what we can see there, what the appeal of Cuba would be beyond seeing an old car, or driving an old car. Who'd like to tackle that? What's Cuba? What is there besides the old stuff? What's there? What would people want to see?
I mean, just to touch on, I think it's unbelievably exciting for the industry, firstly. I think it's going to be a huge engine for growth in this business if and when there is an opportunity for us to go. I was talking to someone this morning who's probably one of the better traveled people in the world, was travel editor at the Herald for a long time, who's recently been to Cuba and described it as one of the best trips she's ever taken, and been in hundreds of countries. So that gets you excited about the possibility. So I think the beauty is it's very diverse, right? There's sun and fun and beaches, and then there's beautiful old Spanish colonial Havana, and there's all sorts of other exciting elements to the experience. So I think it's going to be fantastic for the industry, assuming at some point it happens. I have a Cuban boss who is particularly excited about the prospect, and I hope it's sooner rather than later. I think it's tremendously exciting.
Yeah. Did you want to tackle that one?
So just one other thing, though. You know, only Americans don't go to Cuba.
Right, that's true.
You know, the rest of the world goes
Can
to
go.
Cuba, and many hotel companies have built beautiful properties in Cuba. And I was on the Century, and I was the Celebrity Century with the President's Cruise recently, and one of my table mates was thinking that she was going to make sure she went back to Cuba often before all the Americans went, because right now it's just beautiful. It is diverse. There are amazing properties, beaches, things to do, places to see that the rest of the world is enjoying. And they know that once this opens up for Americans first and the industry second, it will start getting quite busy and might even change a little bit.
We had a cruise critic, one of our writers just got back from a trip on a company called Cuba Cruise, which does a very much older ship, a Louis Cruises ship. And the thing that she came back raving about was the music, especially the music is so vibrant, the culture is vibrant, that she was so blown away by things that nobody ever even promoted, and the things that she discovered, the craft work, the artisan work. So there's a lot there. We're still focusing on destinations, and one of the things that comes up all the time, especially since CLIA is global and the industry is really is global now, it's getting more global all the time, is the impact of Asia on us. And I think that that's a topic we haven't really gotten a chance to say is, well, it's great that these great ships are going to China and that these cruise lines are really marketing to the Chinese. It's super, I mean, all hands on deck. But what's going on in North America that's exciting for the cruise industry here? That's exciting for agents to sell here?
Sure. I think, with all the discussion of Asia, I think it's important to remember that the U.S. and Canada, North America, is the largest cruise market in the world by miles, right? And this is our core market. And, Princess, while expanding in Asia, is focused very heavily on innovating our product designed for North Americans, right? Our recent partnerships with Norman Love, a world-famous chocolatier, to enhance the dessert offering on board. Our partnership with Discovery Networks to create exclusive Discovery and Animal Planet shore excursions to bring the destinations we visit to life. Our partnership with Stephen Schwartz, award-winning, a creator of Wicked, to design, first ever Broadway shows for Princess Cruises. And so there's an enormous amount of energy at Princess going into continuing to elevate our product designed for North Americans. Now we're also in Asia, and I think that Asian itineraries, our itinerary planning teams take great pride in creating itineraries that have never been done before in the world. And we have cruises in Japan that are sold to North Americans that allow your clients to see this beautiful island nation at exactly the right time for special Japanese festivals in a way that's comfortable and familiar to them. And so I think there's an enormous profit opportunity for North American travel professionals to introduce particularly their most experienced cruisers to the innovative itineraries that we have now in Japan and out of Singapore and in Australia. There's such a wealth of product for you to sell at quite high prices. So I encourage you to think about Asia within the context of the portfolio of products that you introduce to your top clients.
I think Japan in particular is one of those destinations that is like Norway, that is almost prohibitively expensive and also culturally different. Not that Norway is culturally all that different, but Japan is very challenging to actually visit, and I think a cruise is really a great way to get a sampling without, blowing the budget. Andy, got anything to say about Asia?
Yeah, Asia's, it's a little similar to Cuba in the sense it's such a big opportunity of the industry, and Adam showed all the new ships coming between now and 2020, and that's really exciting, but we have to have profitable places to deploy them. So the concept that we're going to have, new destinations to deploy ships means a healthy industry into the long term. So I think that's a tremendous positive for the industry. As for what it means to the North American market, there's plenty of ships coming. There's no shortage, and we've been deploying ships year-round in this market predominantly for North Americans. Norwegian Escape comes in November, based in Miami. I think there's plenty of capacity to keep this whole room busy for a little while, and I think that's a good thing. It's exciting. The capacity that's coming is really exciting. That is, a destination is one engine for growth, new capacity and innovation, and all the marketing that comes with new ships is another huge engine for growth in this business. So nobody should feel worried there's not going to be enough capacity for travel partners here. There's absolutely plenty. Keep selling, please.
Well, and I would add, and I think this is a CLIA statistic that we often talk about, that the penetration of cruise in the North American market is still below 4%.
Still low.
So, as Andy's, with all of the new ships that have been announced and all of the marketing that comes with those new ships, the fact that there's still great opportunity to get more Americans to take a cruise and to take that first cruise, certainly for Carnival with 24 ships and 2 on the way, primarily and predominantly here in the U.S. We feel that we have a great ability to attract those first-timers, cruise rookies that may not be ready to take the trip to Japan, as Jan talked about. So I think that is what's so fantastic about the industry today, is that there is a cruise out there for everyone, and a big part of the role that I think we're all looking for the travel professional to play is how do we partner together to make sure we get the right person on the right brand, because I think over time the brands have each distinguished themselves more and more based on the customer they attract and the experience they create on board, whether it's a new ship or even some of the older ships that people still love.
Okay, so we're going to put everybody on the spot since you mentioned matching people with a brand. 30-second elevator pitch on what your brand is about. You get 30 seconds. It better be juicy. Let's go with Christine. You walk me down this path.
Me first?
You first. Go. We can do it. 30-second elevator pitch. Carnival Cruise Line.
Well, I think, of course, Carnival is the most iconic brand in the cruise industry. We carry about 4.5 million passengers every year. Since Carnival was started, 60 million people have taken a Carnival cruise. We are the fun ship brand, as I said. We attract and get a lot of those that are new to cruise rookies. We have so many loyal fans. We probably have more military that sail with us, families and children that sail aboard Carnival ships. I think the work that the team at Carnival has done prior to me getting here with our Fun Ship 2.0 innovations is incredible, and has turned ships that have been around for a long time into completely new experiences for people that have cruised with us before or who haven't cruised with us before. And with Vista coming out, Vista 1, Vista 2, we've got even more new features that will be introduced to Carnival guests and for new guests. So
30 seconds is up.
exciting
That was very
time.
well done.
Time is up. How'd I do, team? Did I do? Pretty good?
That's right.
My
Not
God.
bad for 3 months.
Not bad. Hey, Andy, Norwegian Cruise Line, 30 seconds.
We're all about freedom, flexibility, and choice on the youngest fleet in the North American industry, delivering the best entertainment, the only product in Hawaii, and the widest variety of dining at sea.
So,
That was like 10 seconds, I
does
think.
anybody want Andy's extra 20 seconds?
I'll take them.
No, you're
Well,
done. Because done.
I thought I could hold my breath for 30 seconds till I met Christine. I'm like,
Okay, Jan, we're looking at you.
So I would say
Princess.
Princess Cruises are destination experts who delight in taking your clients to some of the most beautiful places in the world in an upscale, relaxed environment so that they can connect with nature and culture and their loved ones in new ways and create lifelong memories.
Got 7 seconds left.
And come back new.
And come back new.
No, she just used up those 7 seconds.
But I would also say to our travel professionals that, you know, Princess is so grateful for your support, and we continue to invest as well in innovating in terms of Princess Academy courses, Polar Online, and all the many tools that we hope help you make you as efficient and effective as possible.
Great. Thank you. 30 seconds. You're
I'm
last but
last.
not least, Lisa.
I'm last but
30
not least.
seconds.
Thank you,
Countdown
Carla.
is on.
All right. So I am so happy to be back at Celebrity, because having been part of this brand and introducing the Solstice class and solsticizing the Millennium class, we have this amazing fleet of modern luxury ships that offer renowned culinary experience, extraordinary one-touch service. We deliver destination. You know, destination is so critically important to what all of our guests are looking for, but the way we deliver it with signature events, with over 200 overnight stays, with almost 300 ports of call, and we are looking at, it's not just where you take people, it's how you take them there. And I believe Celebrity delivers the how even better than the where. And that, I think, is critically important for people. And the other thing is that we continue to focus on, and partner very closely with the trade. And that, for us, is the secret of our success up until now, and will continue to be for the long foreseeable future.
Nicely done. So, okay, so now I have a question for you guys. So, in one word, I'm going to try to sum up what they said. Tell me if I'm right. If I get it right, go yay. If I get it wrong, go nay, and tell me what I did wrong. Okay. Carnival Cruise Line, fun.
Yay!
Celebrity Cruise Line is boutique. That's not good.
Modern
No.
luxury.
Modern luxury. No, I don't do taglines. Let's see. It's how you get there as much as you get there. It's getting there, right? Norwegian, flexibility, right? Freedom, flexibility.
Freedom, flexibility.
And then Princess is all about the destinations, right? Did I get any wrong? No? Good, thanks, okay.
Good job.
So we're getting some great questions here, and I just want to thank you for sending them. So we'll take time now to ask one. And what's on your wish list beyond Cuba? Quick answers. Anybody who has one. What's on your wish list? Where are you not going yet? Or you're just going a little bit and you'd really like to, you really think there could be more demand for a destination?
Asia. I mean, we're looking very closely at Asia. We're developing a strategy both for sourcing globally to Asia and locally in Asia. So that's a big part of what we're looking at.
Well, Carnival hasn't been to Europe for a while, and we're excited that with the new Vista ship coming out next year, we'll be cruising in Europe next April, so I think that's exciting. And our Carnival journeys that we just announced, where we are going deeper into the Caribbean and some of the more unusual, exotic destinations that many people have not experienced before. So even uniqueness within the Caribbean, which is familiar to a lot of people.
I would say, Princess, we go anywhere your client would like to go. What we're having fun with is innovating on itineraries in terms of cruise length and combinations of cruises. So a big thing for us right now is 7-day Mediterranean cruises, where we do 4 back-to-back that have distinct itineraries that can be combined into 7, 14, 21, 28-day voyages. And that allows you to sell to folks who may be working and can't take off more than a week, 10 days, all the way up to those who may be retired and want an immersive month-long European experience. So I think there's a lot of innovation going on, even in destinations like Europe, where we've all sailed for many, many years.
I think the theme is destination right now as I listen to what everybody says. And one of the things that we're working really hard on as a team is getting credit for how we do destinations, because we have such a compelling story, whether it's the overnights, whether it's the city stays, whether it's the signature events, whether it's the uniquely celebrity shore excursion program we just launched, and also the combination of vacations that we enable when you book a celebrity cruise, whether it's an African safari or a river cruise, ocean cruise combination. We need to get a succinct message across, and we really need your help doing that, because it is such a compelling and wonderful strategy and is really resonating, and we need it to work really harder for us because it really is special.
We do have a request here from one of our tweeter guys about when a cruise ship's going to the Northwest area, Mexican Riviera, et cetera. Anybody want to tackle that one real quick? Pacific Northwest.
Pacific Northwest or
Riv.
Mexican Riv.
Mexican Riviera,
Yeah.
we've expanded our capacity there a lot. It's actually one of the fastest growing
Yeah.
areas, having shrunk a lot
Yeah, right.
with some of the challenges. It's expanding a lot now, and we're thrilled to be back in Mexican Riviera in a big way. So we're excited about Mex Riv.
I would just add, the question was also Northwest. So Princess has new itineraries from Vancouver. So we're even doing Vancouver to Hawaii and back. Vancouver Coastal's obviously best known for all of our Alaska itineraries in that region. And then during the off-season, they reposition down and we do Hawaii, Mexican Riviera. And so West Coast cruising has always been a great love of Princess. And I think there's a lot of innovation going on there as well.
Speaking of Alaska, I was really surprised at Adam's presentation that last year Alaska was flat in terms of year-over-year growth. And to me, from a first-time perspective, Alaska should be the hottest place around, because it's just a place you can't really do it yourself the same way the cruise lines do it. I mean, you just can't. So, all right, trends in cruise products. What's on the horizon from a guest perspective when it comes to innovation, new ships, new products? And before we actually get into that, because there was a little bit of an announcement today from Norwegian about something that is wholly different, Andy, we have a couple questions asking you to kind of explain what your announcement was when it comes to all-inclusive.
Yeah, we're really excited. This morning we announced that we've taken Norwegian Sky all-inclusive in the 3- and 4-day market out of Miami. So,
Wow, that's awesome.
so we think this is huge. It's a fantastic new opportunity. It's a very, very powerful differentiation in the 3 and 4 day market. It's fantastic news for our travel partners because it really means an increased price up front and a much better earning opportunity for all of our travel partners. So we think everyone wins. The consumer wins because they have this all-inclusive product. Travel partner wins. On the earnings side, we win because hopefully it's more demand, and that means more price, which means more commission. So we have this perfect circle of positive opportunity. So we're thrilled with it. It starts on the first sailing in 2016, and I think this is an innovation that's going to be very, very well received by all constituents. You don't often get that. There's normally someone who's not happy, and maybe these guys.
So I'm going to put my cruise critic hat on, I'm sorry to say, and ask you, all-inclusive is a little bit of a myth. It's not all-inclusive. All-inclusive would mean that my spa treatment and every shore excursion would be included, as would my time at the blackjack table.
We looked at that a little bit, but we had exactly that conversation, and so the team went off and looked at the definition of all-inclusive in 100 different places, and there is no singular definition, and there were more than enough places where this was the definition of all-inclusive. So we really felt the consumer was not going to be confused by that. We were very explicit in the press release where we said there's always choices to do other things where you can spend money. But the core of the product, you can eat as much as you can eat, you can drink to your heart's content, you can be entertained and not put your hand in your pocket once. And we felt that was a fair definition of all-inclusive.
So inclusive also, you're seeing that trend everywhere in terms of alcohol packages that you can buy, shore excursion packages that you can buy. What's driving this demand for more inclusivity? Who wants to tackle?
I mean, I think it's pretty basic that there are people who like an all-inclusive and who may be willing to pay a bit more to have the package. There's other people who would prefer to, what is the best value that I can get, and then I get on board and decide what do I want to participate in. If I'm traveling with my family, maybe not everybody wants to do all of the things that would make an all-inclusive, complete package price make sense for us. So I think really the issue is less about all-inclusive and more about the kind of choices that people have today when they choose a cruise as their vacation. And, we often joke, but it's true, our biggest competitor isn't each other, it's all the other vacation choices that someone can take. And again, going back to what I said earlier, I do think that what the industry has created with all of the innovation that we're seeing on board the ships and the investments that we're seeing being made in destinations who want cruise there, gives the consumers and agents the most options and choice.
So we've been talking a lot about the marketplace right now and what people are looking for, and it really is true. They want to, consumers are so different. I don't care how you describe your segments or who you think they are or what age bracket you put them in, regardless of who we are and regardless of how you might segment us, we all want something different. And customization is probably, for me, one of the things that resonates more and more as we look at what we think is the right thing to do for our brand, our company, and our guests, and all of our travel partners. And at the end of the day, what we need to figure out is, to Christine's point, how to bring more people into this category. And we've all, collectively, if you added up the years of everybody in this room that we've dedicated to cruising, it really is sad for me personally, after 30 years, to see our percentage of first-time cruisers declining. And as long as that continues to happen, it's going to be what should we do and how are we going to do it and what's going to resonate. At the end of the day, regardless of how many more things we add, what you get is superb. The experiences we provide are unbelievable. The value you get is phenomenal. So we will keep playing with it until it resonates the right way. We will keep doing things that are going to attract new people, but we really need your help because new cruisers have to come into this category. And certainly, we would love them to be on Celebrity. But when you ask the question, why are we expanding in other markets? These markets are big first-time cruise markets. And we have got to figure out a way to get more first-time cruisers, because that's how we're all going to win. And that's how all markets will continue to get the attention, the new tonnage, and the opportunities that this industry continues to create after a very long time. Some brands have been around for 100 years, some for 25, but we've got to do this together. And there's no holy grail. No matter what you do, to your earlier point, someone's going to want something different or not like it because they don't drink. And I've heard our guests say that. You give us beverage packages, we don't want to drink. So, it's really a big opportunity for all of us to think this through.
Well, I think Lisa's point about first time really leads into a question we just got from the audience, which is, how do you sell to first time? Is there one tip you can give to agents who are really trying to court that market? What's a tip? What are your tips?
So I would say Alaska is a fantastic product to start with for first-timers. So the pitch goes basically that Alaska is one of the most beautiful places on Earth, and it's in the United States of America, and it's only really accessible by sea. Right? And so there are many people who might never have ever considered a cruise as a vacation, but you can help them understand that that's the way to see such beautiful national parks. And then what we've seen is that once someone tries a cruise, and in this case, in the Alaska context, it's because it's literally the best way to see that location, they fall in love with cruising, right? Cruising has a superior customer satisfaction over any land-based vacation. And so Alaska is a great place to build your expertise, understanding that particular destination, the itineraries, the beautiful shore excursions that are so active and also refute the myth that cruises are boring. You know, you get to go glacier ice hiking and kayaking and do so many things that I think will help people, draw people into the industry. And then once they come to the cruise business and to Princess Cruises, we know they come back again and again and again. Right. And we work together for you to earn, lifetime earnings from that relationship.
Right. So my tip would be, I think we don't focus enough on groups. I think there are lots of, and we just came off of a charter for the Tom Joyner Foundation. This was their 16th year, full ship charter. It's a foundation that supports Black historic colleges in the US, and they bring entertainment acts on board. And I can't tell you how many people I met on that ship who had never been on a cruise and told me that the only reason I came was because I wanted to see LL Cool J, or I wanted to see this act, and now I love cruising. So I think these affinity groups, and we know for whether it's millennials or multi-generational, people who have an affinity for whatever it is, if we can get them traveling together, I think it's a great way to get people on board. The same thing with corporate meetings and incentives. A lot of times, people might not think to choose a cruise vacation for themselves that first time, but if I win the trip because my company is footing the bill and I go on the ship, as Jan said, we know once they come on, they will come back again and again and become lifetime cruisers. So I think that's a niche for travel professionals that is probably not been tapped as much as it can be for cruise, and it's also very profitable to be selling groups.
How many of you all sell theme cruises right now at this point? Is that a big thing for you guys? Yes, no? Yes. Yeah. What's the most unusual theme cruise you've ever sold? Keep it clean. Well, send it to me. I'll keep it in things.
So if I may, in 1990, when I was the director of incentive sales for Royal Caribbean, I booked the first Tom Joyner charter.
Did you?
So I'm really not very happy with it. I know.
And we don't know your contract.
So I just want to go on record.
Well, thank,
all right?
thank you, Lisa. Thank you. Thank you.
It's okay.
Okay, here's our last question, and then you can go back to whatever.
It is amazing.
Okay, this is serious now. You don't have time to think about it. Besides your own cruise brand, which cruise line would you travel on in a?
Oh, I have one. Yep. I would travel on my ship that I'm a godmother of, which is the Ama Cherto River Cruise. And I know Rudy and Kristen are out there, hopefully somewhere, so thank you again.
Okay, so I am going with Christine because I've never been on a river cruise, and since she's the godmother and she's a really nice person I've known for a long time, I thought it would be fun. I'm going
I
to go
think
with her.
Rudy and Christine, a little email,
Yeah.
a memo.
Yeah.
She wants to be a godmother.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jan?
So they asked us if we would all go, and I said, yes, but not in a quad.
Right, right.
I think it might
So
get
Jan's
tricky.
coming with us.
The good news is there are no
Andy?
quads on
Andy?
rivers.
Andy, what about you?
Andy, you can't
Well,
go
I'm a
on the-
Norwegian, so I should go on Viking.
They're not a CLIA.
I'm just, they're not, oh my God. Anyway, but I think I'm going to take a vote and see if I can get us into a 4-berth. See if we can outvote Jan.
Well, I don't really know what to say to that.
We're all going together.
The
It's
last
our first
request-
panel together,
Yes.
so we're all
Well,
going together.
Well, that would be great.
That's
and then
right.
You can all,
I'm
like,
sure
you know,
Rudy and Kristen would be happy to have them.
happy to find a quad. They don't have them on
No,
river
we
ships,
don't.
but
No.
okay.
Singles, we're going single.
So you guys have been invited to do a selfie at the cake. I'm supposed to announce it, so you
Oh,
know to go over there.
Okay. All right.
Otherwise, can we give it just a huge round of applause for our 4 first-time presidents?